This episode contains graphic content, adult themes, and extremely strong language. The information provided in this podcast is for general purposes and for awareness and should not be considered professional advice. The views in this episode are explicitly ours alone. This episode is candid, entertaining, enlightening, suggestive, and raw. Please proceed with your own caution. And now on to part 2 of our season 2 premiere of Ride or Die, From Teens to Prosecco Queens. I am Teresa, your forever dreamer. I am back here with Jose for our part 2 of our discussion from last time.
It's me.
And we actually were covering a lot of different things because we were trying to stay on topic with certain things. But, you know, once you get going, it kind of just spills out into our everyday conversations anyway.
I mean, we never really stay on topic
Ever.
most of the time, so it's hard.
Yeah, and
You
it
know
can
what I
be
mean?
diarrhea of the
Yeah.
mouth, but also can be very enlightening. And I think
Yeah.
for us, I'll stick with enlightening and say it wasn't diarrhea of the mouth. It was just kind of like just going like
We
would
just have
normally
fun.
talk. Yeah.
I think that's the primary focus here.
And
Have a little
it doesn't
fun.
sound like fun what we're talking about,
Yeah.
but it's actually having these conversations not only opens my eyes sometimes more because I'm new in this whole landscape, right?
Right.
I'm new in the whole divorce thing, the being a single mom thing. Again, I'm new to the quote unquote knowing if I'm ready to date again, and you know, and all the challenges of that shit out there, being a woman of my age, you being a man of your age. You know, there's a lot of misconceptions, there's a lot of jokers out there, there's a lot of queens out there, it's just awful. I mean I've been able to either steer clear if I need to,
Yeah.
you know, or I've gotten sucked in a couple times, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so for us, these conversations are really important because it also helps me to open my mind a little bit for things that I may not have even known or thought about before.
Right.
And I don't have to pay my therapist for it
Indeed.
anymore.
There you go.
So
I like it.
that helps a lot. I'm really excited to continue our conversation. And I think the second half maybe more funny than the first half, possibly, because it's a little more lighthearted, I think.
Sure.
But I kind of like that mix.
Yeah.
A couple of my episodes were the same way, where it was like one was a little more serious than others, because you've heard a couple of them. I like to try to educate and have people be able to relate to what we're talking about. Also laugh and have fun and heal and know that they're not alone in this
Well, I
game
think
of
that's
life.
the thing. It's like a lot of the subjects that we would touch on. You know, there's serious elements in it.
Right.
So as much fun as it could possibly be, sometimes it gets real. Sometimes it gets deep and and it's heartfelt.
Yeah.
You know. And so, like anything from dating, a dating conversation could be tons of fun.
It could be.
Yeah. But it could be really emotionally, tugging at your heartstrings
Exactly.
sometimes. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it all depends on what you're touching and where your boundaries lie.
Exactly.
So,
and I'm very much an open book a lot with my experiences. I obviously don't throw people under the bus. People who know me may or may not know who I'm talking about at times, you know,
Sure.
because they know me personally. But I wouldn't put anybody else on the stand like that, I guess you can say, because I've heard some stuff that make my dumb shit seem like nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't mean, the whole 2 marriages thing, because I don't think either of us saw that.
That's right. By the way, we're in case you didn't hear before, we're 2 marriages down. 2 marriage down club. And we got some stuff. Here's my theory about the whole thing, right? Like if you want credit advice, if you want advice,
I could use credit
on how
advice.
but here's the thing: if you want advice on how to fix your credit, you go to the guy who had 458 credit score.
You're right. Good point.
And got it to 700.
Good point.
You don't go to the guy who's always had 800.
Always had 800 to 850.
Because he just had money and he was paying his bills and he was good to go.
Exactly. You're
See
right.
what I'm saying? Like, so, there's a little bit of something to go there with a little failure.
Wisdom
there's
comes
lessons
with experience.
learned.
That's right. Wisdom comes with experience. And I think that's where we're at. And honestly, like I said, we've known each other at least 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, you knew me before I was pregnant with my daughter. Like, I was like 20 years old when we met, at least.
Yeah.
You were married already, I think.
Pretty sure. Yeah, I've been married for so long. I mean, it was like back-to-back marriages. It was like,
Exactly.
like,
Mine was definitely not back-to-back marriages. It was a few years in between.
Yeah.
But it still was.
I mean, it was a marriage for me, then divorce, then shortly dating thereafter, and then eventually ended up marrying her. So I didn't marry her immediately, but I mean, it was pretty continuous.
Yeah, no, that's true. I would say in the past 20 years. No, not 20 years.
Whatever it is. Bro.
Whatever. 15, 16 years I have definitely been married more than I've been not.
Yeah.
And I laugh about it now because at the time I had said the second time I got married, I was like, I'm never getting divorced again. If I'm going to do this again, it's going to be that I'm going to stay married no matter what. And I'm not officially divorced at this point, but I just officially updated my status to single, which was so freaking weird because now I was telling my sister yesterday, I couldn't figure out why. She was like, did you change something on your profile somewhere? I'm like, I guess. It said separated or some shit. And I'm getting all these different dating apps, just ads. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I was like, where'd they come from? And I couldn't figure out. I mean, everything from Chisme, the Latin couples.
Yeah.
There's Stir, which is for single parents. There is Match. There is Date My Age. I mean, it goes on and on. I have never seen Facebook dating. Are you fucking kidding me?
All over the place.
It was everything, one after the other. And I couldn't figure out why I was getting all these things. And I'm having lunch with my sister and she says, did you change your status? I said,
yeah.
Oh shit. A few weeks ago, not even like really thinking about it. I said, I was looking through my profile and I'm rarely on my Facebook profile. So I said, let me change this. And I was like, that could have been the catalyst for all of this stuff.
Right.
And weirdly enough, then this week, that was just this week, because I was talking to my sister yesterday. I don't know if everybody knows the Facebook app. On the bottom, it has like videos and marketplace and the little icons, right? You can press.
Sure. And
notifications or whatever. I hit the wrong icon for the first time ever, and it's the Facebook dating thing.
Oh, yeah, the heart.
I didn't know that was what that was, but I didn't ever hit it. I never touched it, nothing. And all of a sudden, I'm hysterical laughing because it has me a whole profile for me already.
Yeah.
I said, what is this?
Yeah.
So now I'm curious. And I'm...
and it's free.
And it's free.
Yeah.
That was the big push. It was free. So I said, well, it has the profile already. Let me just see what this is about. Never done it before. Never thought of a dating app. It freaks me the hell out. I don't know. I like to meet people in person. If I'm going to do it, I like to meet, because you know what? Because I feel energy, right?
Statistically speaking, that's dangerous for a woman.
Of course it is. But I'm also a delivery driver on top of my IT job. So I meet a lot of people, you know? Sure. And I like feeling people energetically, right? Like I like being able to feel someone energetically, you know. Yeah. It's hard to do that. I'm not that kind of a witch. You know what I mean? I can do that, right? So I was like, oh, where's the profile, whatever. And all of a sudden, it apparently finishes creating this profile, and boom, 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 bling, 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 bling. All these things start popping up. All these men of all ages. I went from 29 to 50, 46, 47, 35, single, kids. This place, that place. This one knows this one, and this one knows that one. I said, stop.
Yeah.
Pause. I canceled it. Within 3 to 5 minutes of me even being on this thing, I said, I can't do this. I can't do this. Bombarded.
Yeah. If we could throw our dicks at you, we would. Like, it's just like, hey, see what you do with this. And it's like, yeah, like, you know.
I was like, no, I can't. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. This is not, I can't do this. I was like, and again, I was just curious. I wasn't even looking. It's just because I was like, oh shit, I hit this thing, and it was weird because all these dating apps came up. It's like, I don't want to. I just was like, no.
Sure.
But it was the idea that it was so in your face, instantaneous.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn.
See, that's not the experience I have or most men have. So, you know, I mean, like, you got to be like a stud. To get that kind of
studs just in picture. Like, you can be a stud in.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, generally speaking, when I say a stud is a guy who's like generally like a Jason Momoa. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this guy's like that it's just like, yeah, that guy. It's like there's guys that are like, you know what, if he hugs me, I'll just let it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ryan Gosling is gorgeous. And I've been talking about that dude forever. Like,
he used to be a lot more. He was like gorgeous in The Notebook.
Maybe. I mean, what I'm saying. I mean, it's not like I'm following the guy, but I'm just saying it's like, he's a good looking dude.
He is a good looking dude.
And here's the thing. He has soft eyes. If a guy, if a guy like that hits on you, you might be paralyzed for like a minute. And you're
right. You're right.
You see what I'm saying?
No,
like
no,
it's like
right.
if Ryan Gosling came to me and said, you know, it's like, hey, do you want to go out and have a drink? I'd be like, sure. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's Ryan Gosling. You know what I mean?
You're right.
And I've been talking about that forever. Somebody actually just did a stand-up joke about it. I forget who his name is. Pete Holmes.
I know Pete Holmes.
Pete Holmes stole my joke.
He stole your joke.
I mean, let me be clear here. He made that joke up himself, but I've been saying it way longer, and I have proof of this. I was so mad when I heard that. I was like, Ryan Gosling. But the point is, that generally speaking, women aren't like, they don't react the same way men do.
Yeah.
Right? It's this idea that it's like, oh, you're gonna put up stuff, and it's like, and you're gonna get bombarded. It's like, if you're a good looking woman, if you're like a 6 or better as a woman. And I'm just being conservative here.
What is a 6 anyway?
From like a 1 to 10?
No.
Like, yeah.
No, I know that. I bet, like, what would constitute a 6?
A 6 is like, you know, middle of the road, just slightly, you know, maybe has a nice smile or good hair or something, like a really above average quality. Something's above average. You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, cool. But otherwise, she's just very, you know, middle of the road.
Oh, okay.
That's what a 6 is. Like, you know, middle of the road with a kick.
Middle of the road with a kick.
Yeah. Like,
okay.
you look like you look like a girl I see at Starbucks, but, you know, nice tits. You know what I mean? Like something like that. That's a 6, you know?
Damn, I can't imagine what a 10 is.
So a 10 is like, you know, it's like, you know, that's when you call, a 10 is like the kind of girl that you're like, you need to meet my mom. You know, kind of shit. That's like, it's like whatever's happening, let's make this official. Like, that's the kind of girl. A 10 is the kind of girl that you're just going to do stupid shit for.
Got it.
You know what I mean? That's, you know, to my description of a 10, it's like, that's the girl, you know, and I stay away from those. Because that's trouble for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, no, I'm not, you know, if I have the opportunity to land a 10, I just don't try it. If I have the opportunity to do that, I might pass on it anyway. Just don't want that kind of stress.
There's
you
too
know
much
what I'm saying?
stress. It's too much work.
It's like cortisol, like running through you. It's like, what happens? You know, this is when you start messing. It's like, you got to stay in your lane.
Your
like,
health is going to act up.
Yeah, you know, fuck this girl. You know, she's going to piss me off, and it's just going to be tragic. Like, it's like, nobody needs this in their life. You know, stay in your group, you know?
Actually, I agree. I would say am talking, but it's not. It is what it is. But someone I met in person on my job, you know, really, 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 really good person. And I laughed because at one point he says to me, he's like, I know you think I'm a stud. So it's funny you use the word stud because I've never in my life, I don't know if it is around your age. Is this a thing around your age? Because I've never in my life heard anybody use the word stud.
I mean, I've been hearing that since I was a kid, I guess. I don't know.
I've never used it in that sense, but that's funny you say stud. He's like, but other women aren't like that. I was like, first of all, I've never used that word before.
Yeah.
But secondly, I was like, that okay, but kind of along the lines of what you're saying. He's like, I know some women may look at some men and say, oh, this is stud. He's like, but it doesn't work out like that for most men, where they're out there just, you know, catching women left and right. Like, unless they have to really be like a Jason Momoa, I guess, you know?
Right, you know? Here's what's funny. Like, in other languages, people have all these expressions to, like, you know, to describe a stud.
A stud.
Right? Like in Spanish, right? Dominican, at least, right? Like, when I was a kid, my mom would say, wow, que pollo.
Oh.
And I'd be like, which translates to, you know, what a chicken. Right? Like, you know,
yeah, pollo,
que pollo is chicken, right? And it's like, oh, so when you talk about like a really handsome guy, she would say, que pollo. And I thought to myself, that was the craziest shit I ever heard. Like, a pollo? What's appealing about a pollo? Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, when you have some good chicken, though, it's like, I want to tear that up. Oh, I got it. You know,
I got it. Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what they say. And,
but it's kind of like how we say someone's like a gallo. Right?
Yeah.
Like, kind of like, is this a man is like a gallo? Like, he stands like a man. Like a guy. You know, like a freaking rooster. Like, they're just like a man, you know? And we would say, oh, he's like a gallo. So the pollo makes sense.
But a pollo, a chicken, is female. So it's weird. It's all convoluted. I don't know how these expressions come about. There wasn't a lot of thought into it, or maybe there was a connotation in there that implied something that is no longer valid today.
Possibly.
So that tends to happen.
Or
and,
it got lost in translation somewhere altogether.
Or it got lost in translation. Something came from another civilization.
Exactly.
You know, who knows? This is the colonizers came in, and that's what they used to
That's
say.
what they use for everything.
Who
Forget
knows? Right. So that's
So
it.
what's interesting, Jose, that you have been in this dating over 40 landscape for a long time. And okay, so let me preface this by saying, I know we're saying dating over 40. And when I say over 40, I mean that's the gamut.
Yeah. 40,
Right.
40 and up. Yeah.
I had a conversation with somebody the other day who was 60 something. And I said, yo, what the hell is up with this? I was like, I never thought I'd be in this position. That's why I got married, right? Like, I was not planning, unless God forbid I was a widow. I was not planning on being in this position again, you know? There's amazing people out there. We know that. It's just, we're all so fucking jaded. And with
Especially
our own shit,
40s.
especially in our 40s and 50s. And I'm talking to someone in their 60s the other day, and she was like, you think it's hard at your age? Imagine my age.
Yeah.
I talked to my dad who's out in freaking whatever that older person's app is, whatever that one is, a dating app. And he's like, he was the same thing. He's like, you think it's hard at your age? He's like, imagine 65, you know? Right. And I almost like felt a punch in my stomach. I was like, oh my God, you know, like.
Get your shit together.
Yo,
right? Like,
that's part of it. I was like, I don't want to be necessarily 65 in that position. I want someone to travel with, to have a good, my kid's out the house, you know what I mean? Look, to each his own. People are very happy by themselves. I'm not saying I'm unhappy about myself by any means, but I do like the idea of having someone around, someone to grow old with. You know what I mean? And the way I say that, you know, I have very independent women in my family. I'm a very independent person, you know. I think it's just the idea that, again, you get married for a reason. Usually you have expectations. Regardless of how the relationships end, you have expectations. That's the whole point of getting married, right? I'm not saying that I would ever walk down that damn aisle again. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be, you know, Elizabeth Taylor or some shit, you know, some crazy shit. But I guess it doesn't, you know, either way, there's no way to know for sure.
Yeah, where I'm at with that.
So marriage-wise, you know, you kind of go in expecting, obviously, a different outcome than either of us had. You know what I mean? I always joke and say, next time it's going to be for money. Fuck this love stuff. I was like, you know.
Yeah, I feel you.
You know, at this point, I've gotten screwed both times. So screwed with nothing to show for it. Well, that's not true either. I have 2 beautiful kids, but neither here or there. And not you necessarily, but I think the idea that you have been in this landscape a little bit longer for you. It's been a couple years now, I think, right?
We're going on 3 years now. Yeah, a little over 3.
Yeah. And I know so many women and so many guys that are just, some are just giving the hell up.
Yeah, I mean, so here's my perspective on it. What I've seen a lot of is just like men are just becoming more and more reluctant to get married.
Oh, I've seen, yeah. Oh,
because,
sure.
but, and I think it's because men are starting to realize that there's very little to no upside on getting married. Like, say now that you're in your 40s and maybe you've got, here's another thing that we got to take into consideration. If you are dating in your 40s or higher, something likely went wrong. And so you have to understand that there is going to be trauma. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be things that happen that you may have to work through, and you have to give them a little grace. You know what I mean? And understand that, you know, that this is what the landscape is. And this is very new to all of us. Like, this is, you know, like, even dating in general is fairly new, like the way we do it now. You know,
that's true.
Most things were arranged back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
right,
like we're like two generations into modern dating
that's
or something.
True.
Like, you know what I'm saying? 2 or 3 generations. So this idea now that we have this, like, you know, like online dating, this is super new to us. You know what I'm saying? So we don't really know how to navigate this as a society. But I tell you what isn't working. What isn't working is like profiles that you see of people airing out their grievances. I don't want this. And women do this, I think, more than men do. But it's usually like, I'm not looking for this. I'm not looking for that. Fuck this. Leave me, like, you know, leave me alone with this. Like, don't. It's like, why are you airing all that? Just, you know.
Yeah, and why even be on something if, I don't know. I feel
you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not the place for that, right? Like, so it's just like, you know, so that's usually like, so that's usually something that I'm just kind of like, all right, yeah, I'm not messing with her, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a lot to work through, right? Like, this is the signs of an angry woman.
I was gonna say those are red flags to me.
Right.
Those are straight up pure red flags. When you have a profile and all you throw is angry shit on there.
Well, you know, here's the thing, right? You know what I've seen a lot of? It's like, hey, don't lie to me, don't do this, blah blah blah. You're basically giving me, if I am looking to manipulate you,
Ooh,
you
I
are
was
giving
just
me,
gonna say it. I
you're
got
giving me,
chills. I got
yeah,
chills.
you're giving me the recipe to
That's
fuck you
right,
over.
to fuck you over.
Why
Yes.
are you announcing all of the things that you're gonna be like looking for?
Yeah, looking for so
You
that I
know?
can do all those things. Have you wrapped around my goddamn finger?
You know what I'm saying? You fucking with G's out here. Like, don't,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, if we're trying to manipulate you, homie, don't give me the recipe. Like, you
Yep,
know,
that's
but
right.
that's what you're doing inadvertently. Like, you're not trying to do that. You're trying to be like, shoo fly, don't bother me. Like, that shit don't work.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're
Like, it's
right.
like, so like, understand what you're doing. It's like, like, this is, you're putting your profile out there. Put yourself out there. Put yourself out in a good light. Smile a little bit or something. Like, whatever it is. If you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
look, if you're looking for buns, say you're looking for buns. If you ain't looking, if you're looking for something long term, say what it is. And like, eventually society will get on board and figure out what it is. There's always going to be the guys that are like, just looking to get some pussy.
That's right.
That's just what it is. Like,
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? It's like that, like that's our motive. That's our driving force.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's, this is why like, it's like,
Yeah.
this is, guys are getting arrested over shit like this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And that
guys are losing
nature
careers.
shit.
Guys are losing careers, families, fucking whole things up.
How do you think? Why do you think I'm single a second time? It's because of that shit.
So right, so the point is, like, this is like a very, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we got to be a little bit more deliberate. We got to talk about these things more. We have to understand what it is that we're getting ourselves into, like what you're looking for. Listen, if you're just looking for buns, I don't. That's fine. I don't want to judge that. Like, that's,
I agree.
Go and get that. There was a time where that's all I wanted.
Yeah, and you know what? There are plenty of women and men that are down for that.
Right. But the point is that there's a venue for that. If you want that, like, I've dabbled in polyamory. If that's what you want, like, there's places to go to find that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's what it is. It's like, you have to understand that it's like, there's something for everyone in this world. And you just have to know where to find it and go and go and get it and understand that it's like, but if you're in like what's that one, eHarmony? Mm-hmm. eHarmony is not where you go, to find a hose.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that takes you 3 hours just to sign up.
You see what I'm saying? It's a whole process. There's a vetting thing going on. It's like, you got to spend some crazy money, like
a lot of money.
Yeah, Match.com, all these stuff. There's stuff that like they curate a little bit more for people who trying to get into some serious relationships and everything, right?
Agreed.
And then, or you go to a place like Tinder where it's like, hey, it's pretty much a brothel.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I've never even looked at Tinder before.
But here's the thing. But Tinder is one of those things where it's like, you're going to find a little bit of everything. You're going to find whatever you want, as everything from long-term relationship to, hey, I'm down to fuck tonight. So if you know what I mean? Like, and read the room. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like, that's a necessary social skill for all of us to kind of develop, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, where you can say things, right? It's like, if you go to work, you know that you ain't supposed to be over there cursing and doing all crazy shit, right? You don't need to know how to code switch.
Right.
So you need to go where where your audience is.
Right.
And procure whatever it is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Accordingly.
One of the things that was interesting about that whole Facebook dating thing is it specifically asks you, there's like 5 different things. Are you looking for just friendship? Because some people are just out there looking just to make friends. Right.
And to me,
it could be same-sex friends. It doesn't matter. Some people just don't know have the skills to go out. I feel really old because me and my sister laugh because we're very all tight knit. So I'm like, when I say I don't have it, like, I have female friends, I mean, like, other than like friends that I've had over the years, but like, I have my female close primas, right? My cousins, my sisters. Those are the ones that the relationships that I curate, right? That I treasure and I cherish, right? Because that's my female crew, right? But some people don't have any of that. You know what I mean? So one of the things I found interesting was like, okay, go out there and you can meet for friends or meet casually. Do you want a long-term relationship? Do you want to just mess around? Do you want this? It gives you a whole description. For me, who was like, what am I even looking at? I was like, I don't have a clue. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what half of this stuff means, right? I'm like,
sure.
Because I laugh and we always say, no new friends. And then you're like, oh wait, I started talking to this girl at work and she's really cool. You know what I mean? And I was like, but I wouldn't, it just happened. We met up in a venue and we're like, oh shit, we have some stuff in common. And we started talking from there. You know what I mean? So sometimes we stay more closed-minded, I think, about a lot of these things because you know what's weird? There's too many options out there too.
Yeah.
There's too many options. It was at one point you met somebody, you fell in love, and you ended up with them, or you didn't end up with them, or you ended up with them and divorced, you ended up with them and you stayed with them for 35,000 years, or you have whatever the case may be. Right now, there is way too many options. It's fucking overwhelming. I like to meet people the old-fashioned way. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's a different experience for women because, first of all, women are getting way more bombarded. Women pass, so I think the statistic was something like women pass up on like 80 to 90% of men, right? You're clicking on the top, all of you are clicking on the top echelon, right?
maybe.
And that it's unrealistic for a lot. So like if you're all basically like going for the same guy, then the odds are against you, right?
Well,
like,
I mean, they say there's 3 women to 1 guy on the planet or something like that.
I don't know what the statistic is. I've heard. I don't think it's that big of a disparity. I think there's definitely more women than men. I remember something like that, but I don't think there's that like 3 to 1. I think overall it's like.
Somebody email me if you know, because I could Google it, but I'm being lazy right now.
It's not a good like a live podcast. It's like, you know what I'm saying. Not the best place to start Googling unless you got like an engineer working over there. It's like, hey, like Philip. Give me that stat right now. Yeah,
right
you
now.
know, like Joe Rogan does.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is, we don't got that kind of shit.
No, we do not. We have a wall in front of us.
There's a wall.
Phillip.
Yeah, like right beyond this camera here, there's like wall. And that's all we got going on. I could pull out my phone, but then by the time we're doing that, it's just, you know, it's
not that important, but
it
it's
ruins the
interesting.
vibe.
It's an interesting statistic.
But we'll put it on the, you know, on the link below or something like that.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
I like
yeah,
that.
there you
Very
go.
cool. Very cool. Yes.
So this is how the pros do it. You know?
I'll take it.
So anyway, so ridiculous. But the whole point is, you know, that fairly new to us and we have to adjust. And that's the thing that I think humans just generally have a hard time with is adaptation.
Hell yeah. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know, change is hard for people. And it's like, yeah, because here's the thing, right? Like if I go to tell you, it's like, oh, what are our options? Okay, so we go, let's say we scrap all these online datings. What are we going to go back to? Going to bars and meeting people? We sucked at that too.
Not just sucked at that. Now with like anti-COVID and shit, people are like, hell no.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because here's the problem. Like with that kind of stuff, it's like all the introverts, we're ruling them out. They're not going out.
No.
They're not going out and meeting people.
And again, after COVID, it created a bunch of introverts too. So nobody's going out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the people that were extroverts are no longer interested in going out and meeting people.
Exactly.
So this is like the I guess the natural order of things. Like this is how it went. It just became easier.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like I think the statistic is something like 40% of men never have sex in their life or something like that. Like some wild number. I forgot what. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a ton of dudes out there that never have sex. And the average.
Not just the incels.
No. Well, I mean.
Or just mean.
I mean like men in general. Like overall in the world, like the statistic is something like 40% of men like have
that's
like no sex. That's
astronomical.
It's stupid. And here's the other part. And here's the other part. Of the men that are having sex, something like I believe it's like the average amount of women that they sleep with is like 4 in a lifetime.
Oh, I think you told me that before.
Yeah. So that's the average. That's how many men sleep. That's how many women they sleep with in a lifetime. I believe it's 4. I could be wrong about this, but, you know, you guys are the same thing that you're watching this on will provide you the answers. That's how that works. So, you know, like, don't take my word for gospel. Just go look it up, you know. But that's the thing, right? And to me, it's like, wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy. Because, you know, again, and we all know the thing, right?
And I feel gross now because it's like, Jesus Christ, like I've had way more than that. It's like,
well,
you know what I mean?
I'm just like, I had a conversation with a man. He was like, I asked the question. I was curious. You know, I know my number, and obviously I'm able to keep track of it because it's not astronomical, right? Because I have been choosy at times in my life, right? But something like 20 or 25, I'm like, how the fuck is that possible? I'm like, I mean, knowing the person I can see, but I mean, like, who are this? How? You know what I mean? Like,
see what
I mean, is it just a bunch of? I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's an exaggeration, or if it's a guess, or if it's just like you just happen to be lucky than other men.
So I think that a lot of it has to do with attitude. So with men, it's like I said, it's if a man is ugly, right? If you look at a man and go, that dude is not attractive at all. And you see that dude.
Well, that's relative.
That's my point.
Okay,
but I'm just saying, but there's a general understanding of ugly, right? Like that, there's people watching me.
That's not funny it's so mean, but you're not wrong. But you're not wrong.
But
no,
right,
you're not wrong.
there's like, I can give you a photo of somebody, like somebody's looking at this thing and going, this dude is ugly as shit.
Stop.
And that's okay. But listen.
I understand what you're saying.
That's the reality. I don't think I'm ugly, and it's none of my business what you think of me. Like, I'm just saying that, like, that happens, right?
Yes.
Like, somebody might find me completely unattractive for whatever the reason. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. Same here.
My size 16 foot is just, well, it looks clownish to me, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? I've had fat women tell me that I'm fat. And that I was unattractive because I was fat. That's what happens. I don't care. That's none of my business. You do, whatever you feel about me is how you feel about me, and I'm totally fine with it. So it is what it is. And to me, it's like, but there is, I think, a barometer of people that are just like, that's generally understood to be like, not,
Agreed.
not palatable.
Yes.
But here's the thing.
Not palatable. That's a really good way to put it. Agreed.
But I've seen some not palatable men pull some exquisite chef's kiss women. And it's because they don't care. Like their confidence is through the roof. Their way of talking, their smoothness, their way they dress and everything.
The way they carry themselves. Yeah,
the way they carry themselves. It's like you can't tell this dude nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're
it's
right.
like, yeah, you're not throwing this dude down.
Do you know how many books there are about being a femme fatale, the same thing? And they'll say specifically, it doesn't matter what a woman looks like. Because you can see some of these women subpar, right? With these gorgeous max men, whatever the hell they are, right? Doesn't mean they're not an asshole. You don't know any of that. But I'm just saying if you looked at just looks, right?
Right.
And you're like, how is that possible? It's like, why? Because it's not always the woman that walks in the room, like this gorgeous.
Right.
It's how you walk in that room. You could be what looks like the most basic woman on the planet, but if you have an energy about you and you walk into that room, you will command that room regardless. And it's the same idea the other way around. Like, it's not even about, that's why I said I'd like to meet people face to face because it's energetic, right? Like, you can instantly know if you're like shit. You know what I mean? Like that's happened very rarely in my life. A couple times that I'm like instantly like, oh shit, like that was crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're intrigued a little. You know what I mean? And then you wonder, did they feel that too? Was that crazy? And when it does happen, you're like, oh shit, okay, so there's definitely something there. But again, you can't build something off of just that. But it's the idea that everything happens energetically. Yeah. So specifically, when a person walks into that room and they have that energy about them, when they exude this aura, this confidence about them,
it makes the whole, but that's the thing too. It's like, it's like when you see a woman and she looks very like, she looks very wholesome and like very vanilla and very reserved and everything. And you get her in a bedroom and she fucking turns into a goddamn gremlin. And just, and it's like, what the fuck just happened to this girl? And she's a demon spawn. It's like, what the fuck happened to you? And now you're like, okay, you're her,
her slave?
Her slave. And you're like, whatever, let's do what you want, and it's what it is because it's like, they have that kind of energy. It's like, it's like, because most women are good receivers of sex. Yeah. Right? Nothing wrong with that. Like, that's, that's actually like a thing, that's, I guess, sought after in a way. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a way, like, if you're a good receiver of sex, you're giving us like auditory and visual responses that we're getting all of our senses built into it, right? Exactly. So that's great. And then
you're not a dead fish.
You're not a dead fish.
But you're receptive.
Exactly. So you're a good receiver of sex. And then so like, but you're also can be good givers of sex. Yeah. And that's another level too. Like now, you know what I'm saying? Now you're producing physical pleasure to me as opposed to me getting it passively from you, right? Exactly. So those are things that like, people are, understand and observe. Maybe they don't necessarily understand the differences or whatever, but I think people in general understand that those things are things that we look for and their qualities in people. But I think that because of the way the dating scene is right now, like online and everything, we get really judgmental. It's really easy to get judgmental because you're behind the screen. Yeah. And, you see somebody and it's like, she got a pimple, fuck that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, and so what happens is you are now only clicking on the ones that are top of the line for you.
Which is such garbage because, again, when you're meeting people in person, again, that's why I say, like, that's why some people get catfished, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah. Because
Most couples are very boring, plain couples. Those same women, including myself, who we take great selfies. If someone else is taking a picture of me, I look like a fucking gremlin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing with those other women, right? Like,
Yeah.
it angles and lighting and this and that and the other thing. And then you still could be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, that's not what I thought. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the reality is, yeah, like what you had a really good saying earlier about women listening and men.
Yeah,
seeing.
it was a quote I heard a while back, and it's basically like women, men fall in love with what they see, women fall in love with what they hear, which is why women wear makeup and men lie. So, that's the thing, right? Like, and it's just like,
crazy.
that's how see, here's the thing. I've always said that, like, it's like, if you really position life in a, like any facet of life, like dating, for instance, and you look at life like there's a game, it's a game.
Okay.
And there's rules of engagement.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah. Agreed.
And if you understand that, and you're playing, and you understand the rules, and you also know how to like break the rules and do all of the things, you could be very successful in dating.
Yeah.
Whatever your measure of success is, right? Like, you know what I mean? So like if your measure is to, connect with as many women as possible, or connect with many men as possible, whatever it is, then yeah, you could have success. But what you will be missing is the substance.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. You will be missing. You will be missing the actual
Yes.
connection, the actual bonding. That's what we want.
Yeah.
That's what we are. Like I'm dating now, and and this is gonna sound cheesy and corny and shit like that, but my intention is to fucking fall in love.
That's not cheesy. You mentioned that before. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I would want to. I definitely want to again in my life for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
but I'm not forcing it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But like it's like I'm looking for the right thing, and I'm at the point, being in my 40s. I'm not compromising anymore.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately, like I said,
not that I
earlier,
compromise with my other wives or anything, but I'm just saying, like,
we sound like concubines, don't we? My other wives, I'm like all my
that
husbands.
sounds
It's
fucking
ridiculous.
Yeah. There's some Christian guy watching this shit right
When you
now
say
going,
it out
"Fuck these
loud,
people."
We say it out loud. It's so awful.
Yeah.
It's so
But
awful.
see, that's the thing. And earlier you said something about expectations.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think expectations ruin everything.
Yes, they do.
You want to know why? Because here's what happens. You ever seen somebody get promoted at work? And now you're a manager, and all of a sudden this person's a dick.
Yes.
You know why? Because that person had an expectation of what it was to be a manager.
Yep.
And now they're living up to that manager. And it was either because the manager that they had, the manager that they knew, was a dick.
Yeah.
And so they said, I guess you got to be a dick when you're a manager.
Yeah. Emulation. We've talked about that. Emulation.
It's emulation, right?
Yes.
So that's what happens now. So you're doing that, and the same thing happens in relationships. You get married, that's a promotion.
Yeah. Oh shit, I never thought about it like that.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so now when you get married, you have associations to that title.
Yeah.
That are expectations that you have not communicated with this person.
That's right.
Right? I haven't communicated my expectations of you as a wife, and you haven't communicated your expectations to me as a husband.
Yes.
And what happens now is that we have both entered into having expectations that weren't communicated. We are both taking a test that we are unaware of.
And are we talking? Okay, let's think about that though. I agree. Expectations ruin everything, because especially in dating.
Yeah.
Especially in dating, because this is a problem that women have. Something I don't anymore, and I'm working on, is falling in love, quote unquote, in love too fast.
So
Literally just saying, oh my God, like all of a sudden in 3 weeks, you're like, oh my God, it's going to be the man I marry. Right?
Yeah.
Women have way more of a tendency to do that than men do. Right? Which
I mean,
is ironic,
yeah.
because it takes men a lot more to get a woman. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but men do it too.
Yeah. I'm not saying they don't.
Here's the thing.
But, it's
Here's
very
the thing.
common.
A lot of us, we are, once once bitten, twice shy kind of situation, right? So, it's just one of those situations where you're not trying to fall into that get hurt again. I think we're a little too worried about getting emotionally hurt.
Yeah.
And
He's a bitch, man, to heal from that shit.
But I think it's like, shut the fuck up and just go for it. Like, what do you got to lose? It's just an emotional scar. You cry a little bit. You have some fucking wine. You go out with your friends. You're fine. If you are emotionally secure.
Yeah. It takes work, though.
It does take work. But when you are emotionally secure and you know that you're emotionally intelligent, you don't take those things personal.
Yeah.
So when you are capable of doing that, then you could fuck it. I'm falling in love with this girl. Like, it's what it is. And you don't feel any type of way about it.
But again, that's coming from a healthy perspective. 90% of the people out there, and by the way, it could be an exaggeration. I don't know.
Nah.
I'm throwing my own thing
Yeah,
out
yeah.
there. 90% of the people out there don't have a goddamn clue what it is to have healthy emotional attachments.
And I think
I'll
that's what it
include
is.
myself in there too.
Yeah, as long as you're not depending on them for your happiness. Like, I
Agreed.
think it's a good
Agreed.
starting point, right? Like,
Agreed.
you know, like, I'm happy going in,
Yeah.
right? Like, all I'm doing is trying to, like, hey, I think you're a good person to share some good moments with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, and if we get naked together, plus, you know what I'm saying? Like, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool.
My biggest thing I think now, and we were talking before off of line about red flags, beige flags, green flags, right?
Yeah.
And you weren't quite aware what a beige flag was.
Right.
And I just learned of it recently myself.
Yeah.
You know, we all hear red flags constantly, right?
Yeah.
And what I've noticed about myself, being through the crap that I've been through, how many red flags I would have ignored, or I did ignore,
Yeah.
right? To the point that it was not just red flags. Now we're talking like it's freaking sirens going off and be like, stupid idiot. Like, how did you not see all of this shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I did see it. I chose to ignore it. And those were glaring red flags.
Right.
You know, now being more healed, unfortunately, I noticed that I see nothing but red flags. And I thought that was just me. And I've started reading some stuff online. It's very normal. It's very common because now you can see past the bullshit, right?
You also tend to see what you're looking for.
That's okay. That's a good way to think about it.
When you drove
Yeah.
home today, how many red cars did you see?
My own.
Yeah. Because you weren't paying attention to red cars.
That's, you know what,
You
you're right.
probably passed 20, but that's the problem. When you're just looking for red flags, you're going to find them.
It's like when you see the same number on the clock
Exactly.
all the time. It just happens to be the number, and then you get used to it.
Yeah.
And that's what you focus on.
So if
It's true.
if you're operating from trauma, you're always going to see trauma.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So like
But some people actually give you their trauma. Like,
that's true, but
you know,
that's a
people
different story.
Instantly will say, you know, and I think for me now, it's more about how much time do I want to waste
Yeah.
with someone else's trauma, knowing it's probably not going to end up well, right?
Right.
When I was younger,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we can change together.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves me. And I'm thinking, does he? But if he doesn't know how to love, he just thinks he knows how to love. Those
Wow,
kind of things,
yeah.
right? Green flags, I don't know that I've ever... Actually, no. You're Green Flag Central because you've done the work.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Green
Tell 'em.
Flag Central.
Tell 'em.
Green Flag Central, ladies. Seriously. Dead ass.
Yeah.
Knows his stuff. You know, not perfect, but who wants perfect, right?
I'm not perfect at all.
No.
I got like hairy knees. It's weird.
All right.
No,
What?
no, I don't have hairy knees.
I was like, I don't even know what that means. Anyway, I don't know. Everybody shaves their knees, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
But what I
It's just something
mean,
ridiculous to say and break that, you know.
what I mean though is, again, then you got those green flags, and yeah, everybody has a few green flags,
Yeah.
right? Everybody does, of course, you know.
Right, but well, that's the thing. There's there's nobody's all one thing.
Exactly. It's those beige flags, I think, I'm trying to live more in.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I know you have your scars, and I think this is tantamount to the fact that we are dating in our 40s, right?
Yeah.
It has to be. That we have to look past, like you were saying, we have not look past. That's not a good way to say it, because some things you should never look past. But I mean, you should not be so quick to make everything a red flag, right? There
Right.
are those beige flags. You're like, well, you know what? I've come through a lot of shit in my life too. Of course they've come through. And if they're divorced, we know they came through shit too, right? You know, but again, it's kind of hard. Like we say with the two divorce club, you know, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to a third. But
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't.
That's out of our control, though.
That's,
Like,
I'm not doing that.
what it
I'm not
is.
doing that. But the point of that is, we also don't know where people are coming from in those divorces, right? So it's like the person you could be dating next could be the one that was the reason for that divorce, right? Most of them are not going to tell you that shit unless, like you said yourself, they are evolved enough, self-aware enough, and have done some of the work and are honest about it.
Yeah.
You're not going to see most people that are honest about it. I know old ass men still blaming their ex-wives 25 years later for the reason they were divorced. I'm like, you need help still.
Listen, one of the things that I realized was after, you know, really digging deep and like reevaluating my life after my second divorce.
Oh God, it's so depressing to hear us say it.
But here's the thing, right? Like, I don't look at that as a bad thing. I'm
never
still
really
at the
place. I still do. I do. I
no,
still look at it and
I
I
hear
still
you.
go, who the hell
And I think it's
even
different.
still wants to be after two? I hear that. It makes me cringe.
But I think
For
that's
me, at least.
But I think that's because of the. I think that's because we grew up in a society where that was always frowned upon.
You know what? You're right.
Anytime
No,
you
you're
saw
right.
somebody get married and then divorced, you heard about it in
Yes.
the
It was
media.
so scandalous.
Oh my God! Like
Oh,
who
it was
was it? Elizabeth
scandalous.
Taylor, Trump, all of these people. It's like that was the thing. It's like all the mark.
Yes.
And especially for a woman.
Yeah, it was so scandalous.
4 divorces, you whore.
Yeah, so
Like
scandalous.
it was like
Oh my
always
God.
like so that's sort of
You're
the
right,
thing. So
you're
I
right.
think that's because of that. What I'm gonna say is one of the things that I was able to realize that I was started asking a lot of questions about what happened, what went wrong in my first marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I remember about my first marriage was that I had a lot of in my head like, she didn't really love me and all this stuff, right? But what I realized was that she did love me. Here's where the problem comes. The problem comes, it's like, where did you learn how to love?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You didn't. You
And what's
passively
your definition of love?
you
Yes.
passively learned that. However
Yes.
you were loved is how you love.
Yeah.
Right? Your parents, your siblings, your friends, like you learn how to love in a passive way.
That's right.
Right? So whatever you feel is
Yeah.
love to you.
Yeah.
So she loved me as best as she could. The problem was that I didn't appreciate that. But she did love me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when you start to realize that people just love different.
Again, love languages.
Exactly.
Me and Gina talked about it on the
Right.
last one too.
And
The love
and
languages.
that's usually like what it comes down to. It's like, it's just understanding that it's like, love languages just, sometimes people look at them like, oh, they're it's kitschy and whatever.
Exactly.
But the whole point of that is to like really understand. It's like what is it that people respond to, right? Like you're breaking this down into a little bit more of a granular
Yeah.
sort
agreed.
of thing where you're starting to realize, oh, this is what this person likes and this is what this person likes, and and generally speaking, I don't think any one of us like one thing over like just one thing or anything. I think I think all of us respond to all the love languages, just
of
in
course,
different
of
just in
course.
different
levels. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like if acts of service isn't your thing and I do an act of service for you, you're still going to be appreciative of it.
Of course.
It ain't going to make you swoon necessarily. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And it depends.
But,
and it's just, and you know what? That's so funny you say that because it does depend, right?
Right.
Because for me, and again, me and Gina were really specific about this. We had this exact conversation because we ended up having the same ones, and we wondered if that was tied back to our childhoods, right? That was something that we specifically, if I've said it more than 5 times, take a shot.
Drink.
Because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore. But in that case, if we did realize that it came from childhood, for me, it was about quality time. And it was quality time, and I believe it was, I forgot what the second one was. But acts of service for me wasn't all the way at the top. It might have been third,
Right.
which was weird for me because but I think I've been starting to break that down a little bit for myself because I realize I am constantly doing for others.
Yeah.
Without even thinking about it.
That's your natural
That's
inclination.
just naturally what
Yeah.
I do. But I have a problem where I'm getting better at because now I'm self-aware of it. I have been with people who are not that way, right? I do naturally for other people all the time. In my relationships, I'm the one that plans everything. I'm the one that takes every step to do things. I don't think there's been one time that I've had someone say, I mean, me and you've hung out and you've planned things, right? Yeah. But other than that, I mean, like, like in a relationship situation, no one's said, oh, you know what, Teresa would really like if we did this, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, what do you want to do today? It's like, all right, well, why do I just have to be the one? Or it's not even that at all. It's like nothing, right? And then, but my biggest problem is, then I get upset that it doesn't happen. Not that I haven't discussed it with them, not that I haven't had the communication. I also want to come off as bitchy. Oh, you never plan nothing. What do you mean I don't plan anything, right? What about this time? That kind of thing. And you're like, what the hell? That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's the point for me where I've been working on myself to the point that I'm like, I always get mad that someone doesn't do it for me. But I always realize people don't have the same heart as me either. We all just do things differently. And yeah, I can get frustrated because I want someone to reciprocate that. I deserve someone who reciprocates that. And even in the slightest way.
But we come back to expectations.
Exactly.
See, and that's sort of the thing,
and some
too.
people grow into those things too, right? So that's why I talk about the beige flags. And I know you're going to make a point too, but that's why I talk about beige flags because some people naturally just don't have the inclination.
Yeah. And so that's why it's kind of important for us to do the work, really understand ourselves so that we can, because understanding ourselves is sort of a gateway to helping understand other people.
Right.
Right? When you understand and you're self-aware of like your flaws and how you got there,
Yeah.
you start to understand how other people got there too.
Yes, exactly.
You start to understand how, like what motivates people, like what, like all of these things.
Do you think that that's what makes dating in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s? I just read an article that this couple was getting married in their 80s. I'm like, God bless them. My God, 80. Could you imagine?
Listen, do you know that I think the age group STDs?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's yes, I know.
The nursing home.
The nursing home people.
Yeah, and it's because they're just like, hey, fuck it, let's do that. But here's the thing, I'm looking forward to that.
I know you are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like Myrtle and Phyllis are gonna give me a 3-way at the nursing home. I'm ready to go. Fuck that.
Wait a minute. When are you going to the nursing home? There's no Gen Xers and millennials named Myrtle and Phyllis.
I'm just saying.
You talking about right now?
It's like right now, it might be a Myrtle and a Phyllis at a nursing home. I don't know. There's not a lot of Hispanics in fucking nursing homes, so you got to assume that there's going to be a Myrtle and a Phyllis.
My point was, at the time that you're in a nursing home,
maybe Janet and Lee. I don't know.
Thank you.
Like,
That's what I'm saying. There
like
might be something. Rainwater Sky.
Right. I try to use names that I don't know, so like nobody gets offended. But somebody's named Janet and somebody's named Lee. So if that's you, it's a no.
Keep your thoughts open for
That'd be hilarious if we're at the same nursing home.
So and I think so that's part of it, right? Yeah. So if that's the case, then dating. I think my original question was, from your experience. I'll even say from my little experience, but really from your experience. Now I can say I'm more self-aware.
Yeah.
Right, which is much different than I was in my teens and my 20s, right? And even apparently in my 30s too.
Yeah.
So is that what you think might be the difference dating now than in your 20s? Is that you're just more, one, from what I've seen of you, that you're more open to just no bullshit?
Well, so 2 things I think are very important distinctions in like when I was dating earlier on versus now. Mm-hmm. My intentions were a lot more shallow when I was younger,
which is normal for all of us. That's
right.
What
Right. You're just looking for something pretty, and then you kind of like go from there. As a young man, like you're worried about what other people are saying, and you don't want to have the ugly girl, and it's like, it's just like weird. Yeah. Like you start if you really let, like, I heard somebody say something, the best weight you can lose is the weight of what everybody else thinks. Oof. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Like, if you could get rid of that, man, you'd be so much happier. Yes. Because it's like, when you start worrying about what everybody else thinks, it's like, there's a lot of beautiful, wonderful people out there. And there's a lot of guys that are like, like secretly loving like big girls. And I'm one of those guys.
Ain't nothing wrong with being a big girl.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, hey, and then it's like, you don't want to be with them in public. I date a lot of women where it's like, I hear these stories repeatedly, where it's like, they're worried about me ghosting them. Like what?
Yeah.
Like they'll set up a date with them and then not show up. And it's like, why are you doing this to women?
No, I've actually had the conversation.
And so in their head, but here's the funny part. This is where the fucking starts to break down. In your head, not your head, but the general you.
General me.
What you start thinking is, he must not like me because I'm fat. And it's like, wow. But because that's their projecting their
stuff. Oh, no, agreed. That's a self-confidence
thing.
Yeah,
that's a self-confidence thing, right? Yeah. So because that's your biggest worry.
Yeah, and insecurity. Yes, for some people
you're going to every time something goes wrong in a relationship, you are basing it on that.
You know what? You're not wrong, because I thought the same thing in my marriage.
Yeah.
COVID, I had gained so much weight in COVID.
And you think,
Mind you, I was married to a fucking meatball, and I'm worried about that I gained fucking weight.
You're gorgeous. Stop.
And that's very sweet.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm like, and then I'm saying to myself, oh my God, it must have been that I gained this weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like,
but this is the crazy shit that
right.
and men and women like face this. You know what I'm saying? It's just your insecurities and shit like that. You know what I mean? You know how many, like, I've grown up and so many men are worried about their penis size. It was like, could you shut the fuck up?
Oh, see, that's so stupid.
Being bald. It's like, oh, yo, dude, give up the dream already. Like, you see these dudes with the toothpaste? I had that conversation
with my bald boss the other day.
Oh my God.
The exact thing.
My hair started thinning at 26.
Listen.
I was 26 years old when my hair started thinning.
I always say, if it starts to get to the point that you got that weird half and half thing, just take it off.
I didn't even wait for that.
Take it off.
I had a blowout, like, you know, like the taper.
I've seen the
saying,
picture.
yeah, all that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I had my hip out, whatever. And it just started getting to the point where you could start seeing, like, there wasn't a receding hairline or anything. You could just start seeing a little scalp. And I was like, fuck it, shave it off. And I shaved it off. I liked the way it looked. It was
works.
fine.
It works. Good for you.
And you want to know what's funny? I've saved myself thousands of dollars in the course of a lifetime. Because I don't have to go to a barber every year.
Bet.
You know what I'm saying? I got a straight edge razor. I do all this myself. It doesn't look perfect, but you know what I'm saying? Like, when I really get on it, it's, you know what I mean?
I think, yeah, you're right.
So,
you're
and
right.
that, so like the thing is, you know, to me, it's like, you know, we gotta just stop like worrying about what other people think. You know, this is the thing that I think ruins most people, like makes people the most miserable.
You know why though, and I'm saying from a woman's perspective. You know, okay. Well, first of all, we'll start this way. I've seen now so many reels, not on TikToks, because I'm one of, you know, those old people that wait till it's a reel. But you know, like I've seen so many reels with men, all sizes, shapes, colors, whatever, talking about. I don't care about your belly fat. I don't care if you got stretch marks. I don't care what your hair looks like. I don't care, you know, if you got a double chin when you're on top of me. You know, none of those kind of things, because these are all the things that women think about.
Yeah.
You know how many times I thought about that? The shape of my face that I can't stand, right? That's always been I had a guy sitting with me the other day. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, I hate it. I was like, I'm taking care of it myself. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I appreciate that you feel that I don't need to do something about it, but it's one of my things that I don't like about myself, right? Not that I feel that I didn't do it for other people. It's because of me. And I think and it's something that I know that I can have fixed and taken care of, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I appreciate that other people may not see it that way. But the reality is a lot of times we look at ourselves internally. We project it out, right? And then we say, okay. And then we're looking like, okay, I'm like, listen, if you're with a man and they can't handle, and you're in your 40s or your 50s, your 60s, or shit in your 20s, your teens, and you got some fat on your bones, you got stretch marks, they know you had kids and you got a freaking belly. We all got freaking bellies. Like,
that's the one thing.
That
like,
is
you know,
the stupidest shit. That is the most shallow shit, because that's not real life. Real life don't look like that shit on online.
Here's the thing about this. I'm dating women in my 40s now, and you know, and occasionally I'll meet somebody like right at 50 or a little bit above or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like, here's a couple of things that have happened to just about every woman I talk to. You got pregnant. Mm-hmm. You had a few kids.
Yep.
Or at least one, mm-hmm. right? Whether it was birth canal or, you know, cesarean. Yeah. Gravity has taken over.
That's correct. Yep.
Right? Like it does.
Yep.
Your tits are sagging.
Yeah, well.
Right?
Yeah.
Your nipples might be slightly enlarged.
Whoa.
Right?
What are you taking? You're taking stock of this, aren't you?
Well, here's the thing, right? Like these are things.
50 is looking a little scary to me.
these are things that are just naturally happening.
They do
like,
naturally
right?
happen, yes.
Right. So, you know, this idea that you are like, you know, like if you're looking at a 45-year-old woman, whatever, and she has a couple of these things going on, whether stretch marks or whatever, and you're going, wow, what the fuck? That's expectations.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck are you expecting?
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
no,
you're not living in reality.
That's fact. That's exactly
you see what I'm saying?
You're living in some kind of total mental illness state at that point, like denial, pure denial.
You know, and it's like, if you are, you know, if you have a woman that's like 45 years old, whatever, and it's like, all right, cool, like, and, you know, and she has some stretch marks when she takes her clothes off or whatever, it's like, lick them. The fuck are you doing?
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? I said, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what you got her to get naked.
You know what? You're right. After the 40% that aren't doing anything,
Do you know how vulnerable like people get? Like when you're naked in front of somebody, that's crazy.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
It's horrifying to me.
I'm just talking about people in general. Never mind women. You know what I'm saying? Like women, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, like, even for dudes, it's like, yeah, you know, like, you're naked in front of somebody for the first time. It's like, you know, and what are guys worried about? Is my pig in his sick? There's guys that have told me, yo, man, you know what? When I fuck a chick, bro, she don't get to see my dick until after it's inside her.
Wow.
You know why?
I don't even understand. Thank you. Please say why.
Do you know why? I'm tell you why. I tell you why because it's like, I want you to feel it first before you make a judgment call. That's why.
That is so stupid.
No, it's not.
Sure it is.
No. I want you to feel it first before you make a judgment call because you are going to look at my penis and think, oh, that's small. And then you're going to have a predisposition of just adjusting your likability to it.
See, I think that's closed-minded.
whatever it is.
I think that's
I don't give a fuck. I fuck with beacons on. I don't give a shit.
I think that's close-minded of a man because not all women think that way.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
No. I'm not saying that all women think that way. No woman, not one group thinks the same way of everything anyway. Like
because
this is always
I'm
the case.
all about
that's
the
an
motion of the ocean.
That's right, but that's. See, here's the thing. A lot of women say, oh my God, an average penis is fine, and this is good. I'm the motion of the ocean, like cool lips, like that. But there's also a lot of women who are saying, nah, that shit gotta be big. And the truth is there's a lot of guys, and I'm telling you from, like, when I was younger.
You see my face, I'm like.
When I was younger, I was worried about all that shit.
Well, yeah, yes, and I've heard of many, yes. And
then
that's
I
why they
realized,
make fun of, like, think about it. That's when you talk about gray sweatsuit season.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's
yes.
like, there's some dudes that are going to wear gray sweatsuits and ain't nobody going to see a difference.
Sweatpants, not sweatsuits.
Sweatpants, whatever it is. Yeah, like the gray sweatpants. It's like, there's some dudes that,
yes.
if I wear gray sweatpants, you ain't seeing no difference. You know what I'm saying? Unless I get a boner, like, that's not to see here.
All right, I think we're getting a little off topic.
Yeah, I digress. Anyway, so.
So it's a little different. Your expectations are definitely different, and you're looking for something different than just.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, and so for me, it's like my intentions are different. When I was looking for 18, it's like to go back to that whole thing. It's like, I'm looking for something pretty that, like, oh, this is something I want to show off. It's like a trophy wife. The problem is you're not really doing it with that, like, mindset. Yeah. We trick ourselves all the time. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and we miss out on a lot of great opportunities meeting great people because it's like we're so focused on the appearance of things. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we're crazy over like name brands and how things look and where we go, and all this stuff. It's like, and I'm not saying that like all of it is bad, but you have to have some sort of balance.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. Yeah.
And I'm also not suggesting that you should go and just go date the ugly people, but like open your fucking horizons a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
That's the problem. People, and it is the same for women as well. Men look at pretty, but women do too. And it
has to be. I mean, the person has to be attractive.
Right. In order for I talk to a lot of men and women, and not everybody. We're not all always attractive all the time.
Right.
That's
Nobody is. Nobody is.
Right. And one thing I have to say about the person I talked to, he's like, nah, man. He's like, natural is always better. And I'm like. And it's a little older, and I'm like, okay, because you know what? Yeah, it's nice to look nice when you go out, and there's expectations there that we put on ourselves, right? Because you want to, but there's nothing. Sometimes I think especially as you get a little older, and you learn better to be able to just take that shit off and come home and say, look, yeah, hell yeah, here's my rosacea. Right?
Yeah.
Here's my dark circles. I have them. I've always had them. And this is 40 years of crying and of no sleep and kids and life and genetics. And if you can accept that of me and understand that that's life, then I can accept whatever it is as well. I can accept that we're not all in our best shape. I'm not looking for someone, a freaking gym head that's going to make me feel bad all the time if I don't go and I eat a cookie, even though I'm trying to lose weight. Things like that. Like there's got to be that balance that you're talking about, because it's really, really important, and seeing the good and really trying to see the good in others too. Those beige flags, we really have to live more in those beige flags, because I think that we spend too much time saying, oh my God, green flags, he's perfect, when I marry him. Red flags, don't come near me. He said my name the wrong way and he thinks it's funny.
Right. Those are the overwhelming, like the egregious things.
Exactly. It's crazy. Let me ask you. We're actually coming to the end soon, which is crazy because this is how we talk. Like, I'm gonna have to put a real explicit disclaimer on this sucker on this second episode for sure.
Well, we're probably gonna visit again and then just have a similar conversation and just not record.
And just not record it because we do it all the time.
Exactly.
This is what we do on. Every time we're together, we probably sit and talk for 2 hours at a time without even realizing it. Just like BSing. Yeah. And
it's a good thing we don't do cocaine.
We do not. Oh, wait. Would I be skinny if I did?
I mean, no, you would not.
Okay, well then no, it's not worth it anyway.
Don't do cocaine.
Then it's not worth it. All right, just curious. But no, it's not worth it. I had to do it in my 20s. I'm not trying it in my 40s.
This is not where you want to do it.
I'm not going backwards in that respect.
There's fentanyl now.
Ooh, no. Let's not even go. That's just terrifying. The shit out there is just horrifying. It's just terrifying. Scary.
Let's get some shrooms maybe.
Oof.
That's a good nice time.
Yeah, even then I'm like, we'll
You just need to make sure that you have water and
Nah, I'm good.
Snacks.
I'm good.
That kind of stuff.
A little Prosecco.
Yeah.
And I'm all good.
Absolutely.
A little Prosecco do it for me and I'm all good.
Cool.
Maybe the Bailey's in my freezer. So let me ask you, talking about all the balance that we were talking about, right, in life and everything else. I have had the great privilege of being a single mom at this point in my life, right?
Yeah.
There's a shitload of us out there, right? I don't even have shared time with my kids' fathers.
Right.
Right? It's like, it's me.
It's hard to get buns on the weekends. I get you.
It's me, right? And the reality is, then I have to struggle because, and I'll say struggle very loosely because you know what, actually feel like I've been doing much better about it, you know.
Sure.
But I work basically 4 jobs, and then include the kids. We're talking like 5 and their schedules, you know what I mean, and their jobs and work and sports and all the other stuff, right? On top of trying to find time to when I want to go out and do something, you know, on every other weekend, my son's with his father, things like that. You know, like if I decide, it doesn't necessarily mean a date, just in general, trying to live a life of my own.
Right.
Because so much of my life is revolved around being a mom.
Sure.
Right. So
Well,
you're more nomadic in your sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
so how do you handle the whole balancing of work and family and life and anything else that you may do or not do?
I visit my kid as much as I can. I have a fantastic relationship with my second ex-wife. Actually, it's better than it's ever been, quite honestly. It's just not, we're just not having sex. That's all. Yeah. I think that because of everything I've done, I got to sort of get reintroduced to her in a different light.
That makes sense.
Right? Like, and so what ended up happening was that it's like, I started really seeing her value, all the stuff that I missed when I was with her.
That's kind of a shame in a way.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that you start to really like appreciate the person that they are. I am over here. I'm enormous. So
He's kind of large.
Yeah, like
and this is my actual size. I'm in a chair sitting next to him.
Yeah, no, it's just like it looks like what's the guy?
The Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah, I look like you look like Moana, and I look like fucking like what's the?
Oh, yeah.
The guy, yeah.
Holy shit.
Maui.
I was like, it's one of our favorite movies, and I couldn't remember.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've watched it 100 times with my daughter.
At least.
But anyway, I was able to sort of appreciate her in a new light, and got reminded of all the good that she was, because she's a good person.
She's a good person.
Yeah, and so she's a great mom. You know what I mean? Like, like if I had to have a kid again, like, I'm glad that it was with her.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you get to experience that, like in that light, then you start to realize, oh man, she's cool, you know, and I really appreciate that. And so I got to have a better relationship with her, and it has been very beneficial for me and my daughter.
Of course.
Right? Because my daughter gets to see me in her life pretty often. I've spent whole weeks with them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, like all of that stuff. Like, I don't remember if it was last Thanksgiving or the Thanksgiving before, but one Thanksgiving, I rented an Airbnb, and my ex-wife and her boyfriend and her boyfriend's kids and whatever, and my nephew and my nephew through marriage, or her nephew and his girlfriend. We chilled out at this Airbnb, and we had a great time. And there was no beef. There was no nothing. I slept in one room with Ari. You know what I'm saying? Like she was on the top bunk. I was in the bottom.
That's cute.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then, the master suite, I got, like it was like Sam and her boyfriend. And then, I think it was Paul and his girlfriend. So with my nephew. We had a good time. And honestly, when I told people that I did that, people had like, oh, your ex-wife and all that shit.
I ain't gonna lie. I don't see that in my future.
I feel you though.
Hell no.
But it's weird for people, and it's like, I'm okay with it. But here's the thing.
I don't even want them sitting on my couch.
But here's the thing. I don't care what people think anymore.
You shouldn't.
That weighs me down so much.
Yeah.
Like when you start like worrying about that all the time, it's like, oh, cool. Like I'm happy. They're happy. We're having a good situation.
Yeah.
Like, there's no hostility here. There's almost never any fights. And if there's a fight, it's usually something like a mild disagreement. You know what I mean?
That's ideal.
My kid doesn't see all this, like,
the
back and forth. The stuff that she used to see.
Yeah.
She loves her papa now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, Dad, and she misses me and she wants to see me again. Oh, Dad, I miss you. Like all that stuff. That's where I need to be.
Yeah, agreed.
And as long as that continues to happen, then everything I'm doing is right. That's how I feel about it. So, you know, it's like I understand the reluctance of women when I tell them it's like, oh, this is my situation. I don't really want to get involved in that. And I get it. It's unorthodox.
It is unorthodox.
You know what I'm saying?
But
But the alternative, right? But here's the alternative. The alternative is I am not in good terms with her. I'm not on good terms with her. And we're beefing all the time. We can't stand each other.
I understand that personally.
So my kid suffers through that part.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the significant other that, you know, I'm trying to be with now feels a little bit more secure about the fact that I am probably not going to bang my ex-wife.
Yeah, I can see that.
But here's the thing. None of that shit matters.
Yeah.
I can hate a bitch all fucking day. And if she wants to fuck, it could happen.
That
And vice versa. And vice versa.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's like, listen, it's really on me. Like, it's like, look, we are, you know, we respect each other's boundaries. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing that I'm going to say or do that's going to convince you that this is legit. You know what I'm saying? You either gotta trust it or not. We're going on blind faith at this point.
I've actually had someone ask me, you know, and again, I feel, I'm going to be really blunt about it. I feel bad even saying necessarily ex-husband because we are not.
I say,
we are not technically divorced. However, there was too much there. You know what I mean? Too much trauma there. Mm-hmm. And you can't always go back to the thing that traumatized you to heal you. You see what I'm saying? Even if you're already healed, right? Mm-hmm. When you see things differently, you do differently, right? So I do feel bad saying there's really no other word for it. You know what I'm saying? Like estranged is not even the right word for it either. You know what I mean? So it's like, no, yes, legally I am married, but technically I am not. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I think that I think I'm trying to, I really would like to get to the place that I could at least be cordial. But there are moments that I've realized just this week that I say to myself, oh, just when I think I can get to a point where I'm like, okay, I can be around him. I can tolerate some of this. I could see the change, see a better person on that side.
Right.
And then now, because I'm so hyper aware, it can take damn near nothing for that flip to switch. Mm-hmm. And for me to then see the other side and go, oh, no. That's still there. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's really hard. Like in that case, like you're years out of it. You know what I mean? Out. It's really hard. You know, and they say, oh, that's why people stay single for a long time. I've been single about a year now. Officially, I guess, single for about a year now. And it's one of those things that I'm not, like I've told you before, I'm not in a rush to jump in relationships. I'm like, if you meet someone, it grows into something great, you know, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But there's a lot of people out there who feel the same exact way. And there's a lot of people out there who aren't getting shit out of it because there's just too much. I honestly believe there's also too much damn trauma out there. I just really believe there's too much trauma out there. And it's just really hard to form really good partnerships, you know, really. And a lot of us form them. And then, you know, a couple years later, they dissolve too. Yeah. And we're just kind of running through people. like a fucking track meet, you know, we're just running through people, you know, and some of them you learn from, some of them you live through, some of them you never speak to again, whatever the case may be. Some of them stick to you. I would say some of them stick to you.
You know what I find really odd about the human experience is how you can be with somebody who means the world to you. Mm-hmm. And then at one point, they're a stranger in your life.
Thank you.
That's a really fucking weird. Because people don't talk enough about grieving the alive.
Yes.
Grieving the living is like crazy shit, man. Like it's like, you know what I'm saying?
It is one of the hardest things to do, especially when you see them all the time. Yeah. It's one thing, it's bad enough when you don't. Like, because then if in your brain, you can say maybe they are dead in your brain, right? You can say, I don't have to see them again. In these cases where we're single parents.
Yeah.
And you not only have to grieve everything and grieve this person, your relationship, your marriage, your friendship, your family, your dreams, everything. But then you have to do it with this person still around.
Yeah.
It is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I was telling my sister yesterday, and we're really coming to the end now. This one, I think, actually really coming to the end at this point.
We're deep in this, bro.
Deep into this shit, right? My God. Like, this is what happens. We just bullshit all day. But, you know what? You're getting an insight into some things, and hopefully, our listeners can relate to this, because this shit is for everybody. This isn't, you know.
Yeah.
I was telling my sister the other day, I hope, and I mentioned this to you earlier, I hope when I feel love again, I recognize it.
That's interesting. Yeah, yeah.
I really do.
And I think
really do.
Yeah, and I think that like I said before, it's like if you're when you're focusing on red flags, you will find red flags.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, look, the red flags are going to show up when they come up.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that you have to have a positive outlook, and you have to start looking for the good stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that we need to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. Which I think is why mental health, especially guys, like,
yes, please preach on that.
Let me tell you something, man. Like, it's like when you are capable, like this idea that, we men shouldn't cry and all this shit. It's like, no. Oh, if men cry, you're weak and all of this shit. It's like, no. You're weak if you don't.
Yeah.
You're weak if you can't process your emotions.
There is not vulnerability. I'm sorry. And a man is very sexy too. Not a
Yeah.
basket case.
And listen, and it's like you're right. Everything's balanced, right? Like there's no one thing. Like any extreme is bad on any case, right? Like, you know what I mean? If you are, if you're a religious extremist, is a problem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, like there's a lot of people that practice their religions and whatever, and they're beautiful people, and like if you walk around the earth enough, you start to meet some beautiful people, and you start to see a lot of similarities with different cultures and all that stuff, and it's wonderful to watch when you're looking for it.
Yeah.
Because if what you're looking for is bias.
Yeah.
Right? It's biased, and it's ingrained in you that you want to hate somebody, then you're going to find all the reasons in the world to hate somebody.
You know what I think, like I said, vulnerability is so important on both sides, and being able really to be, my biggest thing, I think, not from me personally, but I mean, knowing and seeing what I've seen with just men in general, being able to, first of all, know yourself really well.
Yeah.
Know yourself, be honest with yourself, and be honest with the people you're with. That is so fucking hard for people. It's just straight up honesty. I've actually
because we've been conditioned. That's what it is. Why when you've been lying since you was a kid. Why? Because you didn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right.
If we go back to Arrested Development conversation that we were having, right? What happens? You become this person that you're afraid to be in trouble, and at some point you grew up, realized. You grew up and you're an adult chronologically. Yeah. But you are not an adult emotionally. So you're still scared of getting caught.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You're still scared of getting in trouble.
And I think, and I've actually
But you're the grown up now.
I've got to the point that I've actually said, I don't want to play no goddamn games. You ain't feeling me? You tell me. We bounce. Right? Yeah. I don't want into this ghost. I can't stand that ghosting shit. I think that is oh my God. That makes me so mad. That is the pussiest way out of anything. I don't care if you've seen somebody one time or for 6 months. Have the actual
courtesy.
Thank you.
Have the balls.
Have the balls to say, look, you had the balls to start this shit. Have the balls to say, I'm just not feeling you.
Listen,
I'm not feeling
it. I have
honesty.
Ended,
I'm like, all I want is honesty.
Every relationship I have ended has been the same way. It's either been a visit or a phone call, and it's like, hey, this isn't working out. You know what I'm saying? And it's usually, and here's the thing. It's like, I have a rule. If I'm dating you and it's gotten to the 6-month mark and I'm just not seeing this progress, if I'm not like just wowed over you at this point, it's not going to get any better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, it's just how it works. So I don't want to wait. I don't want to waste your time anymore. We had a good time. It was nice. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't, in some cases, there was nothing wrong. Yeah. But it's like, I'm just a little older now, and I just don't really feel like compromising. I'm not lying to anybody. I'm not trying to be deceitful. I'm not trying to do any of that stuff. Like, sometimes they just feel they feel lied to. They feel cheated. Yeah. And I understand how that is. But that's usually based on insecurities and things like that. And I understand that. My intention is never to hurt anybody or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I've just always been like that. Like there's nothing. It's like, you're a sweet person to me. If I met you and I've had a romantic encounter with you, I was delighted in it. There was no... there's no regrets. There's nothing, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it was a good time. Even if it's just so much of a handhold. Like, I had that good moment with you, and it's like, it's what it is. So, but sometimes it doesn't work out. And you have to be graceful in your receiving of that information and in your giving of that information.
And on that point, I think that's a good stopping point.
Crush it.
Because you know what? The reality is, we all have to be more truthful with each other. We all have to understand that going out there and doing what all of us are doing, on top of just trying to live our lives, we're just doing the best we can. And I think
that's it.
That's a good stopping point, a good lesson for everybody. Doesn't matter what age you are. Doesn't matter what you are doing. You know what? Go out and enter the world. Understand that everybody out there has got their shit. We all got your back. You know, we're all in this shit together, and none of us are getting out alive. So let's go out and enjoy each other and try to be as good to each other as possible, because this world's pretty fucked up, and there's a lot of us on it. So,
but there's a lot of great things too.
Agreed.
Yeah. So keep your eyes open for the good moments.
For the good moments.
They're out there.
That's it. And in those illustrious words from Mr. Jose, I thank you.
Thank you for having me.
For spending this time with me.
It's been real. I've enjoyed this very much.
And
it was a
our
good conversation.
crazy long ass conversation, which was enlightening and as usual, candid as all hell.
Sometimes I don't even know if we actually arrived at any point.
We don't
completely, you know.
We don't,
but I think we had fun doing it,
agreed.
And that's what matters.
Agreed.
You
And
know?
I definitely will probably have you on again from that male perspective.
Cool. Next time I come with like a I don't know, something regal looking. You know what I'm saying?
Smoking
Like
jacket?
like a cool Modi, like hat. You know what I'm saying? Like it's something crazy.
And just like every other episode, thank you all for listening. This is Ride or Die from Teens to Prosecco Queens. We are on all of your podcast platforms. You can reach me at Teresa. That's not what you can reach me at. Prosecco Queens Podcast at gmail.com. We're on IG at Prosecco Queens Podcast. Probably can catch me on Facebook as well at Prosecco Queens Podcast, or look for me as well on Facebook. We also are on YouTube at Prosecco Queens Podcast. We have a channel on there. And I look forward to hearing from anybody and everybody who wants to hear and wants to say anything to me. And send me your love. Don't send me your hate, because I don't really want to hear it.
Yeah.
And
or send it and I'll deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you gonna do, boy?
Anyway, love to you all. Prosecco Queens.
That's it. I am not a Prosecco queen, but I am certainly a Duke of Bourbon. It's been nice, folks.
Peace out.